Once, long ago, there was a Brahmin named Krishnan. He could never find enough work, and as such he and his family were very poor. Often they would have to go without food for days, but Krishnan wanted to give his family a better life. So, one night when his wife and children were asleep, he crept out of the house and headed towards the city in search of work. He walked and walked across the mountain and into the jungle, and kept on until he could manage no more without rest. He looked around him and spotted a well. If I'm to reach the city in a fit state to work, then I should have a drink to keep me going, he thought. But, as he looked into the well, he saw something down at the bottom. 4 creatures sat there: a jaguar, a monkey, a snake, and a man, all stuck. "Kind Brahmin," the jaguar called, "please help me out of here so I can get back to my family." "But you are a jaguar. How do I know you won't kill me if I help you? Please take pity on me. I promise I'll do you no harm." Christian thought for a moment and eventually relented. He reached down into the well to pull the jaguar out. The jaguar was very grateful to Krishnan. "Thank you, kind Brahmin. I will not forget this. I live in a cave in those mountains over there. If you ever need my help, please visit me." And so the jaguar took off towards the mountain. Next, Krishnan heard the monkey call out for him. "Please, kind sir, won't you help me too?" So right away he reached into the well and pulled out the monkey. "Thank you very much, sir. If you ever need anything to eat, please visit me. My house is just over there, in the trees at the foot of the mountain." And with that he bounced off into the jungle. Then he heard the snake. "Please help me too," he pleaded. But Krishnan hesitated. "But you are a snake. How do I know you won't bite me? I swear I will never bite you. You needn't be afraid of me." Krishnan thought again and cautiously reached into the well. "I am in your debt, sir. If you are ever in need of my help, just call for me." And then the snake slithered off. But before he disappeared into the trees, he turned back to Krishnan. "The man down in the well. Do not help him, Brahmin. If you do, he will only bring you trouble." And then he was gone. But Krishnan could not ignore the man's cries for help. After all, he'd helped a jaguar and a snake, and they'd brought him no harm. Why should a man? So he reached into the well again to help him. "Oh, thank you, kind sir," the man cried, glad to be free. "My name is Seth, and I am a goldsmith. My house is in a city near here. If you ever need my help, please visit me." And so the goldsmith set off back home. A while later, Krishnan finally reached the city, but even there he could find no work. He was distraught. Now he and his family would surely starve. In his despair he thought of throwing himself into the river. But then he remembered the friends he'd made in the jungle. He decided he would go and visit the monkey. The monkey was pleased to see the Brahmin and offered him fruits and other foods he had gathered. Krishnan ate until he was full and was very grateful for such kindness. "You're welcome here any time," called the monkey as he watched Krishnan set off back through the jungle. He was very thankful for the fruit, but he still couldn't feed his family. So he went to visit the jaguar to see if he could help. The jaguar was also pleased to see Krishnan and bounded out of his cave to meet him. He listened to his friend's plight and thought for a moment. "I may have something that will help," he said, disappearing back into his cave. After a short while he returned and placed his gift at Krishnan's feet. The Brahmin looked down to see beautiful golden jewelry. "Oh, thank you, kind friend. Now I'll be able to return to my family and give them the life they deserve." He thanked the jaguar again and went on his way. But Krishnan still needed to sell the jewelry for a good price. Then he remembered the goldsmith. Surely he would help him. So off he went back into the city to find the goldsmith's house. When Seth saw the Brahmin approach his house, he rushed out to greet him. "It is good to see you again," he called. "What brings you here?" Krishnan showed him the jewelry the jaguar had given him. "I would like you to give me a good price for these." The goldsmith eyed the necklace. Of course, they are fine pieces indeed. Perhaps you would allow me to show them to another goldsmith before you part with them." He ushered Krishnan into his house. "Please wait here, I won't be long." And so Krishnan waited. However, Seth did not take the jewelry to another goldsmith. Instead, he took them to the palace, requesting an audience with the king. "Salutations, your majesty," the goldsmith said as he stood before him. "I bring terrible news. A man has brought these ornaments to my shop, seeking to sell them, but look, this is the necklace I crafted for your son, the prince, who is missing." I asked him to wait at my shop and came to you immediately." The king was furious and grief-stricken. He sent his guards to arrest the man who had murdered and robbed his son. But when they came for him, the Brahmin couldn't understand what was going on. "What have I done? Where are you taking me?" he cried. "You have killed the young prince. You are to be put to death." Krishna could not believe his ears. He had done no such thing. But no matter how much he wept and pleaded, nobody would listen to him. There was nobody to help him. But then he remembered the snake. He called out to the snake from his dark prison and prayed for an answer. Sure enough, within moments, he heard a hissing noise from the window. "Oh, Brahmin, what has happened to you?" the snake hissed. "I have been accused of a crime I did not commit," Krishna cried, "and now I am to be put to death for it." The snake slithered down into the cell. "Do not worry, I have a plan." "You can get me out of here?" Krishna looked doubtful. "Of course. I shall sneak into the queen's room and bite her while she sleeps. No matter what anyone does, she will not awaken. However, the moment you touch her forehead, she will be cured." The snake left Krishna and headed towards the palace. Soon enough, news drifted down that the queen had fallen ill, a snake bite with poison that no doctor could cure. The king thought he would surely lose his wife as well as his son. Krishna called on a guard. "You say the queen is sick? Won't you give me a chance to cure her?" The guards were reluctant to let him free but had no other option. Everyone else had failed, so they let the Brahmin try to revive her. They took him to the queen's chamber and watched as he lay his hand on her forehead. For a moment nothing happened. Krishna began to worry that the snake's plan would not work after all. But just then a voice from the onlookers called out, "Look, the queen is awake!" And sure enough, she began to sit up, dazed but awake. The king was overjoyed. Krishna begged the king to listen to his story in the hopes that it would clear his name. The king listened and, when he realized what had happened, set him free immediately. "You have saved my wife. Please let me show you my gratitude." And so Krishna was presented with a large house and more gold than he could possibly need, and he and his family lived happily ever after.